Time to talk up the Canes. We do it here on the Voice of College Football Miami each and every week with Cam Underwood from State of the U. So for all your Miami content needs on the football front or otherwise athletically, head on over to State of the U on SB Nation. Check out Cam and the rest of the crew there. But for the next hour, lock it in right here. Bring those comments and questions. Cam, how we doing tonight?
Good, man. Been a while.
I know. Been a minute.
Well, yeah, been a minute, but hey, wasn't feeling well one week, and then I had something pop up, and then last week technical difficulties. But hey, we're back. Good to see you guys. 235. Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, no. So yeah, good here. There's actually sunlight still out. After daylight savings here in Fort Lauderdale. So yeah, feel good and everything. So yeah, good to see you guys.
As some people like to say, regardless of what's happened in the past, we're here now. And so that's where we are. So again, comments and questions, we will honor those as we typically do, as many as possible in the chat. Meanwhile, we are how far into the overall spring practice session from A to Z? About 2/3 through?
Yeah, we're like, because we had a week off for spring break. I think this is coming up tomorrow on 6 out of 15 spring practices, I believe. I'm going to be off by 1. I think 6. Yeah, because today was pro day. So I had guys putting on for the NFL, including Sean Payton. Oh, my God. McVay, sorry. Because he spoke at the coaches clinic. Mario Cristobal. Lord, I almost did that again for the second time. Good goodness. Wow. The Mario Cristobal put on and everything. So he stuck around to see the pro day firsthand and everything. So, some guys, I think that they did well. Guy that we've talked about since it seems like 2003, but Zach Mcleod tested really well athletically. And I've always been a fan of him in terms of just being an athlete. And he proved that faith true today a little bit. Saw Navon Donaldson, I think he tore something when he was doing his bench press. He only got 9 reps. Seemed to get injured, so hopefully he's able to recover. And there's still some guys who are recovering from some things. Cameron Harris had 23 reps at 225. You see, he's very stockily built. Like, he's very muscular through the upper body. So with the second most reps of the day at running back. So not surprised to see that just based on his physical build and everything. So, and then Mike Harley ran in the 4.4s. Unofficially, Rambo was 4.53, I want to say, unofficially. Hoping to get, maybe 4.49 out of that official or something. Mike Harley even faster. But Mike Harley was real. I mean, he was a track athlete, a track star, literally when he was at St. Thomas Aquinas. So he performed really well and, did it on the field as well. So, good for those guys. Feel good for them. And obviously the ones, Navon, who probably got injured today, hopefully he's able to recover. And guys who are working their way back from injuries like Cam, like Bubba Bolden, hopefully they're able to complete their recovery so that they can really demonstrate their athleticism for teams before the draft. So that was kind of your Pro Canes moment. I know Jake Marcus, he was tweeting out some stuff. Kappa Kane was also tweeting out some stuff during the Pro Day today. And I believe, Jake has taken over as our lead NFL Pro Canes guy on State of the U. So he'll have a recap for you. Kappa Kane might even pop in there as well with some commentary as well. But in terms of practice, yeah, we're coming up on 2/3. Well, yeah, ish. We're 6 out of 15, so 40%, coming up on half way through. And, some good, some bad. Tyler Van Dyke came out the other day and said, hey, the offensive line is doing a great job. I haven't gotten touched at all during the spring. That's great. Marcus Enriquez. Yo, what's up, Marcus? And it's great that your star quarterback's not been touched, but that also then points to the fact that maybe the pass rush is not where it needs to be, especially with Jalen Rivers still out, and he's a starting offensive lineman. Arguably was our best offensive lineman last year, and he's still out. So you can reshuffle some things maybe. You're going to bring in Mitchell Agood from UCLA. He's a transfer who's announced that he's coming down as an edge rusher the last week and things like that. So, yeah, hopefully that'll improve. I still want to see, obviously linebacker development. Charlie Strong has his job cut out for him to develop those guys. I think, again, for a few years, I don't think we've been playing the right guys at linebacker. And I think it's a different group of not right guys right now. But yeah, I think if we change up who plays, I think that will also help the performance. Jacoby George is really, really, really taking a big step forward this spring. My guy Keyshawn Smith continues to ball out. Xavier Restrepo in the slot really seems like he's taking a step forward. All of those are great weapons for Tyler Van Dyke to have. So you love hearing and seeing those things. But we really just want to see and be sure that we can get all the way through with no injury, no major injuries. Your dings and things like that. Those are going to happen. But no Ryan Williams tears his ACL injuries, things like that. No Achilles's or major ankle or shoulder things, So we don't want to see any of those. But yeah, just continue to develop, continue to work, and just push the ball forward and wait until we get some of the starters back in the fall so we can see where things really sit when games are getting closer.
Question coming in here concerning, I believe, Nicholas Iamaleava. Okay. Quarterback commit to Tennessee. 4th rated quarterback in the country for 2023. What's the connection to Mario?
Sorry, I was looking for something on my desk here. And we're back. I don't need the HTML. Sorry. Come on. There we go, computer. The connection is Iamaleava was a guy from the West Coast that had been recruited by Mario at Oregon and had come down to Miami, and was high on the list. I've talked about him on here a couple of times. I don't think that there's a chance that Miami circles back on him. I don't think that there's a chance that anybody circles back on him. It's been widely rumored that Iamaleava is the recruit who signed the $8 million deal with the NIL group or whatever they called it from a given school. That's been widely rumored. Don't have that confirmed yet, but I think that to be true. So it's a deal that's up to $8 million that's been made with the NIL group from a given school, which would ostensibly in this instance be Tennessee. So I don't think that we're going there. I think that it's really coming down to Jalen Rashadah. He's from Pittsburgh, California, borderline 4-star, 5-star guy, 5-star on the 247 composite. Currently, he's like a high 4-star on all the individual sites, so I don't know how he's a 5. But whatever, he should be a 5-star. If you've seen the videos, especially last weekend, the kick and ball. So Jalen Rashadah looks like he's coming to the top of the list for Miami in terms of quarterbacks in this class. The Dante Moore kid from Michigan, from Detroit, Martin Luther King, seems like angling towards either Michigan or like Notre Dame, staying up that way. There's some that really like his game and others who don't at all like his game. I'm not saying that I don't like what Dante Moore brings to the table, but I liked more Iamaleava and I like more Jalen Rashadah. Take for that what you will. And I know somebody's going to be like, yo, he threw 40 touchdowns with 3 interceptions and led King to a state championship. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that he can't play, but he's 6'2" on a good day, has an arm that's average to average plus. Iamaleava is 6'6" volleyball star and football star. But, there's video of him playing, outside hitter in volleyball and way soaring over the net. Jalen Rashadah is 6'4" with a big arm. And you see, so the thing with him is he's now playing his 7-on-7 ball with Miami Immortals, 7-on-7 team. So he's going to be around a lot of guys, including Robbie Washington, who recently committed with his twin brother, Bobby Washington, to the University of Miami, and number 1 wide receiver target, Jaylen Brown. All of those guys, the 2 receivers, Robbie and Jalen, play for Immortals, who the team is now quarterbacked by Jalen Rashadah. So he's going to be, I don't know if they have a travel deal or whatever, but he's meeting them wherever and playing. And I think they won that tournament that they played in Dallas last weekend. And if you, again, look up, I tweeted it, I think, from the State of the U account. I know I retweeted it from my personal account at Underwood Sports. Hey, man, Jalen Rashadah even the first throw of the day, pump or read the middle, read. I'm going up top for a touchdown. First play of the game, blur, up top. On a dime, 40, 50 yards in the air. Kid can play. So that's where I think that Miami is really looking to go. I don't, and I agree with Eric, Rashadah is the type of QB that you build a recruiting class around. I think that he just has he's equally as productive as Dante Moore, but way more physical and with a way higher ceiling, I believe. So, yeah, I would choose Jalen Rashadah over Dante Moore. But if it ended up being Dante Moore, I would be fine with that. I just wouldn't be super duper duper in love with that, if that makes sense. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to be Iamaliava at all. I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately for me, because that was my guy. Y'all know. But Jalen Rashadah is a guy who you can really and again, look up the film, even from this past weekend with Miami Immortals. Again, throwing to high caliber targets in this and future classes, because every 7-on-7 team down here is just loaded. Any of the elite teams, that's Florida Fire, Miami Immortals, and to my mind, the OGs of the OGs, South Florida Express. Any of those teams is just going to be rife with top end talent, and Rashadah is playing with them. So yeah, I think Rashadah or Moore is where you're looking, but probably Rashadah is the guy you should be focusing in on for Miami at quarterback in this class to this point.
Cam Underwood's here talking up the Canes on a Wednesday night, as he typically does here at the Voice of College Football Miami, 7 o'clock Eastern time. So get on back here next week and bring some friends with you. And you've got enough time to do it even this week. So let people out there know on social media that we are here. Marcus is asking, since recruiting is 24/7, 365, how many running backs do you see us signing? I would love to see a Cedric Baxter and a Mark Fletcher class. And what defensive linemen should we be paying most attention to?
Man, that's a great two-part question there, Marcus. That also reminds me that I need to do numbers and needs for this class, because I have not done that yet. Just with some immediate fires, one literal, actually, one day. But metaphorical at the secret day job that needed to be addressed. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Trust me. It's okay. I promise. Yeah, I think that this is a 1+ class. I think it's like a one running back, maybe one in a possible. If you get both Baxter and Fletcher who want in, you take them both and you figure the rest of the numbers out. Honestly and truly. But yeah, I just, if you take two, somebody's leaving. Somebody ahead of them is gone. You just know that off rip. So, you got the 5 guys already on scholarship. So you have, Henry Parrish is a transfer. You have Knighton, you have Cheney, you have Brown, you have Thad Franklin, and 6 is Trevante Citizen. So you already have a pretty full and really diverse 4-star room. All those guys are 4 stars. And then you want to bring in a 5-star and a 4-star in Baxter and Fletcher. You're going to lose somebody off that roster. And that can be okay. But it's just really the allocation of the scholarships. So I would say in this class, I would really target one, unless both of those top end guys are really beating down the door. Then, hey, let's get the talent on the roster. I can figure it out. But my mindset is like Chris Mitchell in the comments, just one back this year. That's what I'm focused on. In terms of defensive linemen, man, you just got to go all over the place. I think that there's going to be names who pop up throughout this cycle. I don't think that it's this year is not like last year down here where you had all of the All-Americans at defensive end or things like that. So I think that you're going to get some guys who pop up. And the team is resetting the board, obviously, with new coaching. I'm trying to scroll through here on 247 real quick because I was not prepared for this question, so I did need just a little bit of support. But yeah, I mean, the Jaquavius Russo kid, him and a teammate, they're from Montgomery, Alabama. They just both visited. Both are high 4 stars, both top 50 in the country. Damon Wilson from Venice, he's a guy that's the same area of Jafar I. Harvey up the coast of Florida down here. So he's another guy. Then I've seen the reports of guys like Abai Job from Norman, Oklahoma. He's a transplant or African native by descent. David Ajigbe from DC also at a defensive end. I've seen a couple, things about those guys coming to visit, things like that. And I think that you're going to see new and different names pop up along those lines. And David Hicks, the number one defensive lineman in America, 6'4", 250 from Allen, Texas. We've been after him. Jaden Wayne, the one that, what's his name? Gabby put up the picture with him and some other recruits. And it said, 5 stars everywhere. And everybody was focused on Jaden Wayne's mama because Jaden Wayne's mama is attractive. So he's a guy who's also come down a couple of times for visits. Derek LeBlanc from Osceola seems to be going towards Florida, but that's another guy that we're going to recruit. John Walker from Kissimmee, Osceola is a big dude. Anthony James from Wiley, Texas, committed to Texas A&M. It was just stated that he's coming down for a visit soon. Ruben Bain, Hurricane Bain is his nickname from Miami Central. That's a guy who you probably need to get in this class. And there's more that have offers, and there's more who will probably pop up with offers throughout this cycle. So that's kind of a smorgasbord of the names that are out there right now. And I don't know that we need to focus on any one of them, but I would say Hurricane Bain. I mean, come on, bro. Come on. You go to Miami Central, your nickname's Hurricane. Like, that's a guy you need to focus on. And then any of the other guys. To me right now, Jaden Wayne sticks out just because he's been down twice on his own dime. But this is probably a year where we're going to sign between 4 to 7 total defensive linemen. So, yeah.
We got a question coming in from Sadrack, who is basically taking the current optimism and projecting it toward a 2001 type zenith in the program, but then also stating, since we've got a great coaching staff, since the recruiting is shaping up as it is, and things look to be similar to 2001 in a few years, that might be a little bit of a stretch. But Cam, what could be the cause of this derailing?
I mean, any one thing, a quarterback not playing to his potential, right? So you're talking a few years down the line. So I'm going to take Tyler Van Dyke out of the scenario, right? Because he's probably only going to be here for 1, maybe 2. So down the line, let's call it somewhere between 4 to 8 years, right? Because you have to build up the depth to get towards those heights and everything. A quarterback not playing to his potential. You see at Clemson already. And I know they're like, they had so many wins and they kind of got through. Their roster's still loaded, but it's very clear last year that they did not have the kind of progressional quarterback play that they'd had from every quarterback before that. That's how things start to fall apart. Get a couple untimely major injuries. Maybe it's your quarterback. We saw last year, De'Aaron King went down. Everybody who comes in that scenario is not going to be Tyler Van Dyke. You know what I mean? So, maybe Jake Garcia is fine, but he's not the level of a Tyler Van Dyke or what we saw last year or what it could be next year, right? Or this year. Maybe, you get a couple bad breaks. Maybe you get a bad call here. Maybe you get, somebody does something stupid off campus. I don't wish it on anybody, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but you've seen, unfortunately, there have been times when players have gotten into domestic abuse situations. I know Desmond Demas from Texas A&M, the incredibly talented wide receiver, he's off of their roster for that, And what if something like that were to happen from a very key player, right? What if something were so there's the margins for championships and for the height that Sadrack is talking about in his question, the margins to reach that are very, very incredibly infinitesimally small and thin. It could take one thing. It could take Cleveland Gary not being down in 1988 and clearly scoring but not fumbling, right? But then that call goes the other way, and then you lose that game, okay? And then you get a 20-year-old who's maybe unfocused on a 3rd and 1. Hut jumps off sides the next game against Florida State. You lose that game, and all of a sudden now you lost to Notre Dame, you lost to Florida State in this hypothetical, and that's going to keep you from this in the question. So it's really going to take everything going perfectly to reach that. But I mean, to say what could be the cause, it could be any number of things. You're banking on whatever recruit to be the guy at their position. And okay, they're not the guy, and somebody else gets injured. And okay, cool. Well, we try to call a timeout on 3rd and 7 because we're misaligned. And Mario's running down the sideline. He's trying to get the officials' attention. Doesn't get it. They get a free play. We only have 10 guys on. They score a late touchdown or whatever. Like, you can come up with any kind of scenario, right? So I think that it's a little optimistic for me right now. And I get where we're coming from because we all want the glory days. We lost the second game of my freshman year in 2000, did not lose again until game 7 at North Carolina my senior year. We want those days back. Of course, everybody, myself included. It's going to take a while to get there. So if we're saying, okay, we're going to hit a 2001 best team ever standard, and what could be the one thing that could cause us from not getting there, I would say maybe lower your sights a touch, and then we could have a more fruitful conversation. But yeah, I mean, the margins for recreating the greatest team ever are just so small. So any one thing could be the cause.
Sadrack, I can appreciate you shooting for the stars. Understand you've got about the 15th to 20th best team in the country right now. Right. That's good. And you're working toward bettering that, and you're on the right track, but that's about where you are right now. Where was I going to go? Oh, I had one other possibility in terms of maybe not derailing the program, but keeping it from reaching those kind of heights. With this kind of coaching staff, what happens is those coaches get opportunities elsewhere. And if you have a star-studded coaching staff and they get better opportunities elsewhere to move on to a better position, and then you're not able to replace them with coaches that are as good as recruiters or position coaches.
And look, that's going to happen. I mean, Josh Gaddis is number 1 on everybody's list for a coordinator to move up to being a first-time head coach, probably at a Power 5 job. He's our offensive coordinator, right? Josh Gaddis is going to be here a year, maybe 2. 2 is going to be a real boon to keep him here for that long, right? I mean, Jamil Adai, he's going to be somebody's defensive coordinator eventually, to Mark's point. So yeah, there's going to be bumps along the road of, okay, upward mobility from the great performance, hopefully, of these guys and this team. But yeah, there's other factors. So add that to the list of things that could keep Miami from reaching the heights of Sadrack's question. But yeah.
Talking to Rex. Appreciate the contribution as always, sir. Good to see you here. Cam is back. Yes, he is. Good to have him here tonight. Does the success in basketball this year, going to the Elite Eight, help recruiting in football, and to what extent?
I think that it helped because there was a home game that we lost to Florida State that game. I think we lost both games to them by 1 this year, which is just, a flesh wound with salt and fresh squeezed lime in there. I mean, just stings, bro. A team that didn't go anywhere in the postseason. Florida State, that is. So, yeah. But anyway, that's when Mario Cristobal came up and riled the fans up and everything. I believe that was Elite Prospect Day. And it was a huge game, went down to the end. I mean, you never want to lose, but it wasn't like we got blown out by 40. So, everybody's like, okay, well, let's leave and go to this other thing. So, I think that, if you have something like that, this cycle when, the next season comes around and you have the home games on, weekend days that you have official visits and things like that, I think that's cool. And it also just elevated the conversation about Miami. You know what I mean? Like, people were talking about Miami all the way up until, yesterday, day before, in terms of March Madness, which has never happened before. I think that we had a great chance to make it to the Final Four. We just, that second half was rough to watch for a variety of reasons. But yeah, I mean, it can only be helpful because as you're Mario Cristobal and staff and you're pitching Miami, right? usually you're kind of going off of imagination a little bit, or the graphics, or the GIFs, or the edits that they're sending to you. But all the way up until the end of March, you're talking up Miami. Hey, come on now, we're doing great things. And then that kid turns around, and then Miami Hurricanes are on the screen playing basketball. Now, it's not 100% analogous. Obviously, it's a different sport, but like, it's still there. It's like, I know that this is a direct parallel, so it's not exactly the same, but it's like when Coach K was coaching the U.S. national men's team, the basketball team. Duke had an ongoing recruiting video. Every time that Kobe Bryant, rest his soul, LeBron James, all these guys, anytime they got a bucket, anytime that anything happened and they cut to the sideline, there goes Duke's head coach. So even if it's in the Summer Olympics, even if it's at a time where you're not necessarily expecting to see the representative of that institution there, you saw that. It's a similar thing here where, okay, Miami had such a run in the tournament that we're watching them, we're talking about them, they're having these upsets, and everything, and they're playing their asses off. So it just kept them in the overall conversation to a point where, I know that Jeremy Shockey's from Ada, Oklahoma, but why would somebody in Ada, Oklahoma in March think about Miami who doesn't have a tie to Miami, right? Oh, my dad went there, my uncle was talking about that, blah, 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 because, they visited, blah, blah, blah. They can turn on the screen and see, oh, Miami. Oh, right. Steve Field called me on a tight end. Or Jamil Adai, because I'm a number 1 rated defensive back. Or I'm Jaden Wayne up in Seattle, and I can watch those guys, or I can be connected to the program that's or the school of the program that's connecting or recruiting me all the way into the end of March. So it can have some kind of tertiary benefit, I guess, in that way, but it's not going to be a direct correlation to they went to the Elite Eight, we're going to get elite football recruits. I don't think it's going to be that, but it doesn't hurt that, you're basically getting 2.5, 3 hours worth of advertisement for the University of Miami,
Chris says, Mark, to your point, you're going to see the drop off from Clemson this year, losing longtime offensive and defensive coordinators. Maybe.
Hope so.
Maybe. I'm not necessarily sold on that, but
I think the one that's going to end up
surprising.
being more impactful is their defensive line coach, who was the recruiting coordinator leaving to go to Oklahoma with them.
Yeah, Todd Bates. Yep.
That's the one. Because, that's the one that I think, maybe not even this year, but I think that moving forward, I think that's the one to watch.
Lee Green is asking, how do we get our questions seen? I click and it goes to the screen if that's what you're asking, Lee. So that's where you place your question. Just keep doing what you're doing and we can click your question to the screen. We appreciate you being here, Lee. This is the first time I remember seeing your name in the live chat. So welcome, and welcome everybody else to the Voice of College Football Miami. Please check out our videos that we post every week. So basically, if you would like this conversation in smaller segments, you can check it out that way. We edit these down and then also supplement it with other content. So check out our videos and keep in mind that we're here live with Cam every Wednesday night at 7 Eastern time. Yes, yes, yes. Eric, we're not going to turn this into a Clemson show. So I'm not necessarily saying I'm bullish on Clemson. I was just saying that there's not a guarantee of a drop off. That's all I said.
Agreed. Moving on.
Falconer X with the ACC down this year. Man, everybody is already signed off on 2022. I guess they've already determined what's going to happen in 2022. Falconer X knows that the ACC's down this year, unless he's referring to 2021, in which I would say that 2021 outside of Clemson was a typical ACC year for the past 4 seasons to 5 years, something in that range. But anyway, what happens if Miami does not win the ACC?
We keep working. I want it to be immediate, if not sooner. But I think that the opportunity is there. Hopefully things break right. But I mean, even though I think that Clemson is ripe for a decline, and I think that already they're a step down from where they were. I'm sorry, with Uyunglele, he's not. He lowers the ceiling. The floor is still really high for them, clearly, like we saw last year, but the ceiling is lowered, so the potential is there. And we want it to be every year. We want it to be, playing NCAA on freshmen, where you win 593-0. I want it to be this year that Miami wins the ACC. I hope that it's this year, but if it's not, we keep working, and hopefully, again, you have proof positive of steps made being forward, and you get a full cycle with this staff to recruit and restock and continue to raise the level of talent on this roster, because X's and O's get you so far, but Jimmy's and Joe's can take broken plays to the house. So we want to be able to have that and improve. And the goal is to win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's not. But if we don't win the ACC this year, that is not a wholesale failure in and of itself by this staff and this program. Now, if we're up, sorry to anybody who's a Falcons fan, but if we're up 28-3 in the third quarter and find a way to lose, that would be the failure. So, again, just giving grace for the fact that it's hard to win championships, and we have a new coach and a new staff here for a reason, and allowing for the time for them to do what they need to do to get the success that we desire. So, again, I want it to be this year, but if it's not this year, we don't blow everything up. We stay the course. We continue to move forward.
Cam, jump in if there's anything that I state that's not accurate. So I would say right now, first and foremost, when people ask me, is Clemson going to maintain this pace? My initial answer is no. And that's not even to evaluate Clemson. That's evaluating the probability of maintaining a program that's winning over 90% of its games and going to the college football playoff every year and going to 4 national championship games in like 6 years. That pace is not that it's impossible to maintain. We see Nick Saban, but it's next to impossible to maintain. So number one, just by sheer probabilities, they're not going to maintain the pace of winning the ACC every year, going to college football playoff, winning 2 national championships and going to 2 other national championship games in the span of 6 or 7 years. That's just not sustainable, most likely. So that's number one. Number two, if you look at the recruiting, Cam, correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, Miami's roster is built on recruiting classes that have ranked somewhere between 10 and 20 in the nation.
Yeah.
And Clemson's roster currently is built on classes that have ranked somewhere between 5 and 12 in the nation. Mm-hmm. So it's slightly better. But this last recruiting class, they're pretty much even. And if anything, Miami had a better per player rating than Clemson. So if Mario Cristobal is everything we believe that he is, and he's proven that to be the case at Alabama and at Oregon, then we're looking at 2 programs that are recruiting on the same level, if not Miami possibly surpassing Clemson's recruiting. Mm-hmm. And then we take into account Clemson losing 2 excellent coordinators, question marks in their place at the coordinator position on both sides of the football versus Miami that's built a tried and proven coaching staff. They're on pretty even ground. I'd still say Clemson's better in 2022. I expect them to be better, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're not.
I think the program's better, and I think that in terms of overall talent, they're more talented from top to bottom of the roster currently. I think that obviously this last recruiting class is a hard charge towards changing that. Did have a higher per player rating. Had, there's no team in America north of 40 or 44 with the few number of recruits that we had, except for the fact that we had a top 5, top 3 per player average in that small group, that Spartan force that it might have been, of the 15 guys who signed. So yeah, I agree on those points for sure.
And so if somebody asked me, or somebody told me Clemson is not going to win the ACC in 2022, who is going to win the ACC? My answer would most likely be Miami. It might be NC State, but probably Miami. And of course, in Miami's position, they only have to be the best team in the Coastal Division, which will probably be, once again, a marginal division, and then ball out in the ACC championship game. Whereas North Carolina State has to outplay Clemson for the entirety of an 8-game ACC season and beat them head to head to get to the ACC championship game. It's a tougher task.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a tougher task for them, but that's fine. If I'm looking up FFP schedules right now, and I am, we have, and I wanted to just check and be sure. We have Clemson this regular season as well.
Yeah, I didn't take that into account.
That is, I mean, this is the on cycle Clemson one. We got the off cycle one 2 years ago, the COVID season, when ACC was like, hey, it looks like Miami's pretty decent. Clemson's pretty good. We're making up the schedule as we go. I don't care that it's off cycle.
We want to make
them
money
together. Run me my money. Let's get that on prime time, which it was. And, even the hint of Miami being good, not even back, because back means championships, but even a Miami team that's like not abjectly terrible at that point, put them on the field together. Let's make it work. And everything. And we get Clemson in the regular season. This is the on schedule one. That one was the additional off schedule meeting. So yeah, the task is there for us as well. And that's a game that's again in Clemson, South Carolina. So yeah, but to be the man, you got to beat the man. And hey, we got to go there and handle our business.
As soon as I post this question, I'm going to be hurrying to the listing of future schedules in college football, because I don't know if there's anything on the books between Florida and Miami.
2000 is soon. 24 and 25 back to back.
Okay.
Up there in 24 and down here in 25. So those are two upcoming games of the non-conference schedule. That's been, it's pretty SEC heavy. We have A&M this year and next year, 22-23. Then the 2 years after that, at Florida, then home against Florida, Notre Dame, also the 24-25. You got South Carolina, 26-27, Notre Dame back on in 28, BYU in 26, Auburn 29 and 30. So like all these years, the rest of this decade are SEC non-conference, destination kind of matchups. So yeah, the next possible time is my cousin JR3, James Rose III's birthday, August the 31st in 2024. That's the next possible time, absent of a bowl game, because if there is a chance for a bowl game, I guarantee you that they will put Miami versus Florida. And I think that we fell short of that this past year by losing whatever game that was at the end of the year to potentially give us that matchup in whatever bowl game, because we tanked it all the way towards the end. But yeah, if absent a bowl game result, August 31st, 2024.
Just like
on the recruiting trail all the time.
Just like this past season, they put Florida and UCF on the same field in a bowl game because it turned out to be a bonanza for a game that, based on record and standings, was irrelevant and not a good draw. It was a good draw because it was two Florida teams. They put them in the Gasparilla Bowl. They sold out the stadium. And based on the TV ratings, it was a bonanza. Or for that level of bowl game, it was just popped because it's intriguing.
Right. And remember, bowl games are television shows, just like NCAA tournament games. And oh my God, CBS is so happy with Duke Carolina in the late game in the Final Four for the first time those teams have ever played in the NCAA tournament in K's last year. Oh my God, the race for that game.
Together. Yeah.
Woo, boy, the race for that game on Saturday night are going to be insane. And they're so happy about that.
That all came together. And this is pretty aggressive right here when you mention these future schedules, when there are 4 non-conference games And in back-to-back seasons, Florida and Notre Dame, 2 toughies out of the 4.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tim, thanks for reminding everyone to hit the like button. Tim's a USC fan. He's always here, and he is a big supporter. We appreciate you being here, Tim, and reminding everyone to please, it takes a split second to hit the like button. It also doesn't take long to copy the link and let people know that we're here each and every Wednesday night. There are people that you follow on Twitter, follow you, Facebook, and whatever social media platforms that don't know that we're here talking college football with Cam every Wednesday night. There were some recruiting nuggets in here, and now I can't find them. Here we go. Brian Taylor. Cam, can we finally start landing some of the 4- and 5-star American Heritage kids? How are we looking this cycle?
I mean, we've gotten a couple. We just haven't gotten as many as we would like. Nessa Silvera went to Heritage. There's somebody else on the roster that went to Heritage. But there have been more misses than there have been hits from Heritage. That's true. Mark Fletcher is a guy, the running back that I previously spoke about in that question, is a guy who goes to Heritage that Miami is very much in the fight for. Damari Brown, one of Selwyn Brown's sons. Selwyn Brown, who played on the championship team at Miami, who I used to work with at Miramar High School, by the way. His son goes to Heritage, as his other son did as well. He's a defensive back like his father, and he's a guy that Miami's connected to. Brandon Ennis, the number 1 wide receiver in America. Santana Fleming. I think that Miami's looking in other places for a wide receiver, but that's another 4-star guy that they could go after. And that there's underclassmen there as well. So there's at least 4 guys with names and connections in this class alone to Miami. And hopefully we'll be able to do a little bit better recruiting that school, because Miami has not really been historically that successful at American Heritage. You think over the course of time, Ryan Williams, the quarterback Ryan Williams, he transferred from Heritage to Miramar, won the state championship in 2009, and then goes to Miami. Well, he went to Memphis and then to Miami, but that's like a American Heritage kid thrice removed, really. Past that, you didn't get Brian Burns, you didn't get Tarvis McFadden, you didn't get Sertan Jr., you didn't get Earl Little Jr., you didn't get you did get Nesta, you didn't get Sony Michelle, you didn't take Isaiah McKenzie in favor of taking Braxton Berrios at that slot in that class. Shout out to Braxton for getting that big money 10-digit extension. 8 digits extension, 10 million or more with the Jets. So that finally kind of validates the choice to take him in that class. I know people still been pissed that we didn't take Joystick, and I get why, but this is a guy who is one of the best punt returners we ever had at Miami. Solid receiver, great stand-up, 4.0, I think, or 3.99, great point average guy. Goes to the league and gets a $8 million or 8-figure second contract. We can let that rest finally, I think, but we didn't get him. You can just keep going. Yeah, there's been more guys that Miami's missed on than hit from Heritage. And when you consider that, Chad Wilson, the Wilson brothers, Quincy and Marco, the shoe thrower, they went there. Their dad, Chad, shout out Chad Wilson, was defensive coordinator there. You didn't get his kids. Mike Rumpf was the head coach that really transformed that program and also ran to the American Heritage that you now see. You missed on all those guys from there. I get where the frustration comes. Imagine if we missed as much at Aquinas as we do at Heritage. It would be really, and we've been more successful at Aquinas. Those guys just have not all panned out. But if we had the level of whiffing from, Aquinas that we have had on guys that we've chased from Heritage, I would understand, and I would be concerned as well. So hopefully this new staff will be able to just out-recruit the history that's been there. But yeah, recruiting American Heritage has been nightmarish for Miami over the last, forever.
Miami fans, we know you love your Canes. You could talk Canes all the time, 24/7, 365 with us on Discord. Go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV. Patreon, Mark Rogers TV. I send you a link. You can talk in our chat room on Discord all the time. All right. This is going to be possibly a difficult question to answer because the nature of spring practice is most of the information is positive because it's controlled by the coaching staff and the players. And very little is seen by the media, and they usually get to see just, again, limited time at practice. But there from time to time can be some more earthy grounds root. What word was I looking for right there?
Ground roots.
Yes, grassroots. Thank you. Grassroots type information coming out, leaking out from practice. That is a little bit more authentic and real about the situation. Have we heard anything that would be a little bit more of the negative variety of anything coming out of practice?
Really just linebackers and pass rush. And again, even with what's not being said by the guys when they get interviewed, that kind of speaks to that. There have been some clips of Jacoby George really being athletic and acrobatic and things like that. There's pretty much been one single defender in those clips on the other side of these incredible catches and moves. So, you know, if you know, you know, and if you see it, you see it. But after a while, it's like, is that the same one? No, this is a different day and this is a different play. But it's like, oh, he's beating that guy again, beating that same guy again, who's good. And I think he's going to play. But, you know, maybe I think that there's a little disparity there. So those have been some of the things. And I think the offensive line is fine so far. But I'm really looking to see what's going to happen when Jalen Rivers comes back, because somebody on the offensive line on that right side, right guard, right tackle, probably guard because that's where he was playing. Somebody on that right side of the line is getting up out of Jalen Rivers' seat. So keep it warm, go through whatever you got to do now, but just know when big 6'4", that's his jersey number 64. When 6'4" come back, he's going to the starting lineup. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I just know he's going to start. So, you know, yeah. And anything that's like, oh, they're doing really, 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 really well on the offensive line, the unsaid part is because the defensive line really is not doing anything. Except for Leonard Taylor is just growing by leaps and bounds, apparently, and is unblockable, which, you know, hey, you love to see it.
Who was the defensive back that was your and everybody else's whipping boy yes, until the final season of his career, right? He pulled it together and turned in a pretty respectable
really did, and it took about 6 weeks for people to really join the train and see that. But no, he was abjectly terrible, and then came back as a senior and serviceable. He was a rotation level player at Miami, and that was such a big step forward for him.
Knox King 94, thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate that. What is the general consensus on how many Miami players will be drafted?
Oh, I don't even know, honestly.
No.
I think maybe 4 off the top of my head. Just looking at who all was at Pro Day. I think Rambo goes. I think Harley is like 6 or a 7. I think Bubba Bolden gets picked, and I'm forgetting somebody. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Darn, but there's another one who probably gets picked as well. Anything past that, I think, is a bonus, and that's possible. You know, maybe somebody takes a 6th or 7th round flyer on De'Aaron King as a running back or wide receiver or something. I mean, you're 5'10" on a good day. You're not playing quarterback. I mean, you're 5'10" on a good day, and you're not Kyler Murray. Sorry, you know, you're not playing quarterback in the league. But yeah, something like that. And I'm forgetting somebody. God darn it.
About a month or two ago on a call-in show, we have a particular caller who blamed a Colorado loss in 1990 on the turf being substandard. And ever since Falcon Rex has spun every possible phrase toward turf issues, and it's been rather amusing. So Falcon Rex, appreciate the super chat and the yes, finally some talk about grassroots and turf. He wanted me to shoot a video on turf and how teams have lost games based on turf tripping players at the 5-yard line.
I mean, yeah, they do say that. I mean, and it's been worse than that. Greg Cooper had his knee explode in the bowl game in Orlando on that. I mean, it was one of the worst surfaces in America, and everybody knew that. And they had like state championships up there around the same time and things like that and whatever. It was really bad. And he went to cut in a bowl game. He might have been running a straight line. Either way, it was completely non-contact, and you saw it as soon as it went down. Like, oh, okay, well, that's a ACL, MCL, PCL. Like that's his knee pretty much exploded because of that. So, it's cost people games, and it's cost people millions of dollars. So, glad to see that things are going in a positive direction in terms of the turf, the pitch, as it were.
All right, Cam, what's going on at State of the U these days?
Man, a bunch of stuff. We got a bunch of new riders who are riding stuff. Obviously, we were picking up with the Miami Hurricanes basketball team and their run to the Elite Eight. Hop back in there. Numbers and needs for this recruiting class. I will get that banged out pretty soon. We're going to have some more recruiting features from Chris Picaro, I believe, was doing those to spotlight some of the new or some of the potential recruits in this class. Also, there have been a couple of defensive linemen who have been profiled on the site as well. So you can go back and click through those on the recruiting news section of the website. But we're there 24/7, 365. We're trying to bring the best commentary analysis that we can. Ironman football, Justin DeTavio, he's doing all 22 film review of every different position. And he did a deep dive about the shoulder injuries that tight ends have had at Miami recently because DeTavio has a history in athletic performance as well. So looking at some of those things from a body mechanics kind of standpoint and things like that. So, different things, different structure, different folks, and also just, delivering you the highlights that you always love to see. Just like Falcon Rex says, State of the U. It's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. Website is stateoftheu.com, as it says on the Chiron, and my personal Twitter is at Underwood Sports. Back for a new season of Top Chef on Thursday nights. Going to have the power rankings coming up. It's been a tougher season for me to get into just because I don't think that anybody's really that good that I've really been rooting for or separated themselves in terms of the competition. They're all very highly skilled chefs. So let me not say that they're not good, but nobody that I'm really super duper rooting for. So I know we're like 4 weeks in and no power rankings for that, but all kinds of things like that. So we have all that and more on State of the U. You can find us all over social media, the ones I've given you, and more. So come on over and fan with us, and let's have a good time.
Is it a combination of somebody not separating themselves and then also somebody not being relatable or some kind of character that you can kind of gravitate to?
No, I mean, like I've been to lots of the Top Chef restaurants. I have the first 2 volumes of the Top Chef cookbook, and I've executed probably 70% of those things. I'm not like Kappa Kane. He is probably better in terms of his cookery and his chefdom. Hashtag Fat Boy Eats. So shout out to Steve for doing that and everything. But no, I do enjoy it and everything. I think it's the best reality show, best competition show on television. I've been to more than a couple of the restaurants of the chefs. They've come down. I've seen some they're gonna be in residency or have a pop-up at whatever here in Miami, whatever hotel or whatever restaurant. I'm gonna be down there. So I really do enjoy it. I just don't, nobody's really separated themselves. And there's one dude that I just dislike very greatly on there, who was gifted a win last week because his partner was awesome in the competition or what they did and everything. So I have somebody that I hate. I don't have anybody that I really support in a holistic kind of way. But, hopefully soon. But, I always enjoy the journey of Top Chef. Enjoy the journey with me.
Join the college football chatter on Discord. Search MarkRogersTV on Patreon. I'll send you the link. You'll be all set. Cam, we appreciate you making this show happen every Wednesday. You have a great weekend, and we'll catch you on back here hopefully next Wednesday, if not at sometime soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Good to be back, guys. Good to see you, Mark, and we'll talk again.